How's it going, YouTube? It's Lucas here from DVD205 channel, and today, well, I'm starting the build series, which may be kind of a surprise because I don't even have the parts to finish this. So, what I'm gonna do is build it from the instructions, but make it, well, rear-wheel drive until I get the parts, and then I'll also show making it into a four-wheel drive, I guess. Because I figured out the parts are going to be like a few days at most, and I can't wait that long. So I'm going to start on it pretty much as soon as possible. As I'm sure people can hear very faintly, I have some music in the background. YouTube, don't copyright me. So, yeah, because it's pretty much can be very boring just listening to silence while I'm building a Vortec. So, I need to actually look at the clock. It's about 11:52 in the morning. Well, that doesn't even seem like it's all that late or early. Kind of is. I can start building this, actually. Looking at the nice vintage instructions. And of course I actually went through this a little bit, and it has you start out with building the bearings, which kind of sucks because I don't actually, it's building the rear ones, luckily, so I'll start with that. Page turning intensifies. So, given that I already have most of the bearings already put together, wherever I put the bearing container, I have everything organized in this little box thing. I think the rear bearing is the one that I'm actually looking for. So, actually need to dump this out a little bit. So, I was asked to put together the bearings, but I already have this put together. So, I'm just gonna ignore that step, or those steps. Except I should probably put grease in here. I don't know where the grease is. Except I can't actually get this apart, so I don't have a way of actually getting in there. Unless, yeah, no. Oops. Alright. So, already have the bearing assembled. In case you haven't noticed, I have never put this thing together before. That's why I'm doing a build series on learning how to do such a thing. I'm actually supposed to put the outputs on there already. Well, I don't have the rear outputs. I only have the fronts. What's the difference between them? Well, that's a predicament. Guess I'll have to take apart this little E-clip and use the rear bearing. Or actually, I can't even do that. Well, that's annoying. Well, I guess I'll start with the chassis then. I obviously didn't think through this very well before I tried to put this together. So, let's go in. Actually, I can build up the belt whole thing, whatever that would be called. It's just by putting it's actually putting one of these on here, finding the pin, or that one, putting that in there. I don't know if you can see half this stuff. Probably not, given how this is being recorded. Also, why did my music change? Let's see, there goes this side. I had to get used to this. I think there's an E-clip supposed to go on here. Or at the end. Oh, it's supposed to go on the end. Alright, that makes sense. Okay, and then the pin... I could actually look in the instructions, like I said I would, but I guess I'll figure this out. Darn it. This isn't going very well. Then the ear clip goes on here, and yes, the table does creak a lot. I just have to learn to have to deal with it. Can't get these E-clips on here. There. That looks about right. Now I have to put this on here. And then do the other side, which is the same thing. I'll eventually figure out how this actually is supposed to work. Like this whole assembly, and I guess it would be assembly video, project video, whatever. I'll figure it out eventually. And if people can actually guess what I'm listening to, well, good job, I guess. Not that difficult. Also, I should have grabbed gloves. I should have grabbed gloves for this. And that is that assembled. So, yay. It's just gonna go out there because I have nowhere else to put it. Also, there is a part underneath the table, so I'll have to grab. This is not how I pictured this was gonna go. There, finally. Alright. Well, I guess I'm going to actually start on the chassis, or reassemble the bearings, as I think this is the front one, if I'm not mistaken. I don't actually know how to apply the grease to it. Locate 12 large differential balls. I already have that put together. Thrust bearing retainer. What? This is all new to me. Does this thing even have a thrust bearing retainer? Oh, it's just a little tiny thing. That's tiny. Is it? Oh, it's supposed to go in there, I'm assuming. So this goes in here. Something like that, anyway. And the pressure plate Goes this way. Or does it go this way? This thing doesn't have a... Huh. And this goes on here. If my video hasn't already stopped recording, which wouldn't be surprising. Come on. I think I might actually need to put grease on there. I don't know how much I'm supposed to use, so... And some people might be screaming at their cameras, at their phones, going, what the heck is this person doing? Obviously not the right thing. Also, apparently my neighbors might be home. They'll have to deal with it. That's kind of annoying. I don't think the front differential is ever going to work. I have to figure that out though. Also, I'm going to need a bunch of paper towels after this. And yes, people might be saying that I should actually follow the instructions instead of just trying to figure it out by myself. And that's actually the way I should be doing this, but the instructions are probably very confusing. Not that I want to take the time to actually read it, but I'm sure I'm also missing many, many parts. And whichever one is the front, or would be the rear. Well, this one doesn't work. I don't think I have all the parts to get that on to work. So, it's just going to be a rear-wheel drive Fortec until I can figure out what's actually happening with it. So, this bearing's going back into the parts thing. I don't have the rear bearing, rear diff outputs yet. This is not going well at all. Well, I guess I can assemble the U-joints. Yeah, I'll do that. There's the U-joints. How long's my camera got? I've been recording for apparently 13 minutes. Well, I'll leave this to the next video.